Aita for telling my sister not to announce her pregnancy at my wedding because I was going to announce mine. But she did it anyway. I 29F got married 3 months ago to my amazing husband 31M. It was supposed to be one of the happiest days of my life. But my sister 32F managed to overshadow it in a way that I can't seem to move past. A little background, my husband and I had been trying for a baby for a while, and when we finally got that positive test, we were over the moon. We decided we would share the news with our family and friends at our wedding reception. Nothing crazy, just a small, heartfelt moment during the speeches. Only my parents and my maid of honor knew about this plan. A few weeks before the wedding, my sister pulled me aside to tell me she was pregnant. I was genuinely happy for her, and we had a sweet moment together. Then she casually mentioned that she was planning to announce it at my wedding. I was shocked and told her, as kindly as I could, that I would prefer she didn't. I even explained why, because I was also pregnant and planning to share the news that day. I asked if she could wait just a little longer so the day could stay focused on the wedding. She seemed a bit annoyed but didn't argue much, so I thought that was the end of it. Well, fast forward to the reception, and guess what? Right after the speeches, she stands up, clinks her glass, and announces her pregnancy. The whole room erupts in cheers, and suddenly, my wedding turns into a pregnancy celebration. I was stunned. I didn't even get the chance to share my own news because it felt like I'd just be trying to one-up her. Later, when I confronted her, she acted like I was overreacting and said she just couldn't keep it in anymore. When I told her how hurt I was, she said I was selfish for wanting to control when people share their happiness. My parents think she was out of line, but are telling me to let it go for the sake of family peace. But I can't seem to move on. Every time I think about my wedding, I feel this bitter pit in my stomach because she took away a moment that was special for me. She, on the other hand, thinks I'm being dramatic and says I should be happy for her instead of making everything about myself. So, Aita for not letting this go. Relevant comment. NTA I wouldn't move on. Every time she says you're making it about yourself, tell her since it was your wedding it should have been about you. She's the dramatic one that had to draw the attention to herself. If your mother tells you to let it go for the sake of the family, I'd tell her since that was not your sister's priority, why should it be yours? Frankly, I'd just cut her off. Who needs someone like that in their life? Op replied with I want to cut her off, but that means going low contact with my family date. Hi again, Reddit. First of all, thank you for the overwhelming support and validation. It really helped me feel a lot less crazy. So, a few people asked for an update, and well, things got petty. I'll admit it, I'm not proud of all of it, but I'm also not sorry. After the wedding drama, my relationship with my sister was icy at best. She kept acting like I was just being hormonal and selfish. And every time we spoke, she somehow turned herself into the victim. I finally decided if she thought I was selfish and dramatic, I might as well lean in just a little. A month later, my husband and I had a gender reveal party low-key. Just family and a few close friends. We did not invite my sister. She found out through our cousin's Instagram post and texted me something snarky like, "Wow, guess I'm not family now." I replied, "Well, I didn't want to risk you announcing something again and stealing the spotlight." Fair, right? But the real revenge came at our baby shower. I had custom cookies made that said, "We waited our turn." One of the decorations was a sign that said, "One special day deserves its own celebration." A few people laughed, a few looked uncomfortable, but I saw my sister read the cookie and go very quiet. She asked if the cookie was about her. I told her, if the shoe fits, and walked away. Now she's telling the family I'm the one being dramatic and petty ironic. No, but honestly, I don't care. I didn't ruin her wedding. She ruined mine. She can sit with that for a while. Also, my baby is due a week before hers. Guess who's going to be very publicly posting baby pics right as she's going into labor? Not saying I'll be timing it, but I'm not saying that either. Thanks again, Reddit. Sometimes petty justice is the only justice. Story to Aita for shutting someone down when they tried to talk to me at the gym. So, for context, I have 30 to don't talk to anyone at my gym outside of saying hi and bye to the people who work there, and having polite etiquette when asking someone if they're using something or saying thank you when they're done. This is partially for efficiency, but mostly because I go to the gym stoned AF, and I'm in my zone, and I don't want to talk to anyone. Last week, after my workout, I walked over to the food carts by my gym to pick up tacos. While I was there, some guy I'm 40 plus stopped me and said he went to the same gym. I had never noticed him before, but he insisted on walking with me and was talking to me. I was kind of annoyed. Just because you see me on the street with my headphones out doesn't mean it's an invitation to talk to me. I made small talk and tried to be polite. Got out as quick as I could. So the other day, when I'm at the gym foam rolling out with my headphones in, this guy just beelines to me while I'm trying to avoid eye contact, and squats down next to me to say hi and give me a fist bump. I give him a quick heads up, acknowledge him, but ignore the fist bump. Avoid eye contact the rest of the time I'm there. And then today, this guy comes into the gym and sees me. I immediately avoid eye contact and he doesn't come up to me, so I think he gets the picture. But then, when I'm doing leg lifts, he comes over and tries to give me a fist bump. So I take out my headphone, and I say, look man, I don't want to do this. I'm here to work out. I'm not here to make friends. I don't want to talk to you, okay? And he starts to say I was just saying hi. And I respond with, yeah, I get it. Please don't. And put my headphone back in and kept working out. I realize anyone who saw this probably thought I was a giant top. But I don't think someone's need for connection overrides my need to have a good workout. So, Aita, update. For people saying this would have been different if he was an attractive guy. I stumble and get awkward no matter who it is if the conversation needs to go beyond more than a single question and response. Men, women, children. This isn't a want it or don't want it situation as much as it's a I'm not in a headspace where I can have human conversation. For people saying this is the same type of person who wonders why guys don't ask them out. I keep a little post-it note in my gym bag that says, hi, my name is Name. I think you're cute, but I want to respect your gym time. Text me if you want to get coffee sometime. I've never given it to anyone, but it's there if I ever feel like I need it. Anyway, I'm at work. Hope everyone has a great day. Final update. Wow. While I figured posting this might be a little divisive, I didn't expect it to blow up like this. I went to the gym today and had one of the best workouts I've had in a long time, partly because I was fueled by the overwhelming support I received from people who understood the importance of asserting boundaries. So thank you to everyone who saw where I was coming from. For anyone who still thinks I'm the I can live with that. But before I go, I want to share something that happened to me a couple of months ago. Maybe it'll give you something to chew on. I was at the same gym in the middle of isolated bicep curls. End of the rep, second to last set to failure. I was slowing the movement, fully concentrated, eyes closed. When I opened them, a stranger's face was 3 inches from mine. Startled, I set the weight down and looked over to see a plump, middle-aged man in a baseball cap. I took out one of my headphones, still in shock, and all I could say was, what the F? He then grabbed my arms and forced them back onto the machine's handles, saying one more. I pulled away and snapped, who the F do you think you are? His face fell as he muttered, I was just admiring your work. I told him, I'm in the middle of a effing set. He got defensive, saying, actually, I wanted to use that. I replied, you can use it when I'm not in the middle of a set. He rolled his eyes and walked off. I was left shaking. As I started to put my headphone back in, another man approached and waved. I took it back out, and he said, you really shouldn't have to put up with that. I smiled and said thanks. He walked away. I got back to my set. Now here's what I'll say, baseball cap guy was way more out of line than the guy who approached me at the food carts even by the 3rd time. When I finally snapped at him, I reported that incident to the gym manager. They took it seriously, walked through the whole event with me, and I gave the best description I could. I haven't seen that man since. Whether he was banned or just stopped showing up, I don't know. As for the guy from the food carts, he hasn't approached me again. We've been in the same space at the gym a couple times, but I'm very good at pretending people don't exist during workouts. I appreciate that he respected my boundaries. I see no reason to report him. But here's what I want to leave you with. The man who approached me right after that first incident, the one who said I shouldn't have to put up with it, why did he say that to me instead of to him? Why is it easier to comfort a woman in distress than it is to call out the man who caused it? I do think he meant well. I appreciated it in the moment. But I still have to ask, when given the choice between verbally comforting a woman and actually intervening, why do so many men choose comfort over protection? Why is it harder to confront predatory behavior than it is to empathize with its aftermath? That's all I have to say. This will be my final update. Top comment said, NTA. I'm tired of being forced to be polite and not making people uncomfortable even though they just made me uncomfortable. More people need to be blunt because people don't seem to understand hints of unwanted interactions. Another top comment said, NTA. Coming from a father, I hope my daughter has the boundaries you do when she's grown. You don't owe anyone your attention. You rock though. Story 3. Wipta if IF28 told my husband M28 his sleep boundaries went out the window when he had our son. Husband we will call Brad, and I have been together 2.5 years. Had our son in January. Things have been pretty great, but this had me feeling kind of annoyed. Brad is diagnosed with autism and ADHD, which can make communication between us challenging at times. But we do our best. We live in Europe, not us. Since Brad has AUD, he only works at 50%. The other half is covered by a health insurance here on a temporary basis, and every few months he has to keep applying for more. It is stressful, as we wait for him to hopefully get on a permanent coverage. Since this is so up in the air, instead of me taking a full year of mat leave, he took a majority of the days in case his temp health insurance is denied for some reason. Then he can keep his work schedule at 50% and still get paid on the days he is off. Which means I went back to work part-time. I work as a private teacher. I choose my hours. Since my students usually live in different countries, I chose some in the afternoon when Brad is home with our son, and at nights, when my students would be awake and Brad is also home. I only have one student in the evening, 23 o'clock 23:30 twice a week. This is to help with some income, and we discussed this before I went back to work. He had asked no students past midnight. So if baby is having issues sleeping, he can take care of him and hopefully get him to sleep. Well, Brad got back on a schedule where he wants to go to bed at 23:00 every night. We try to, but with a baby, sometimes it just does not happen. Baby sometimes will stay asleep when I put him to bed. I nurse him to sleep, and sometimes he wakes up screaming. Well, last night I told Brad I had my student at 23 o'clock, and I would try to have baby sleeping by then. He asked me, "What is your plan if baby wakes up?" My bedtime is 23 o'clock, so hopefully you have thought of something. I said, well, hopefully he stays asleep. If not, you will just have to take care of him, or put him on his playmat and entertain him. He resolutely said, bedtime is 23 o'clock, and I will go to bed. Come 23 o'clock, baby is in bed, and Brad is just getting out of the shower. I guess he woke up moments after I started with my student, as when I came out of the office, he was walking around with baby. I took him, nursed him back to sleep and went to bed also shortly after 23:30. This morning, he was a bit annoyed with me. When I tried to hug him goodbye as he was leaving to work, he did not hug me back. We always do this before he leaves. So I said, "Are you upset with me still?" He replied, "Yes, you crossed my boundary. My bedtime is 23 o'clock. We discuss this. I go to bed, and anything past that is your problem to solve if baby wakes up." He left for work, and I was just thinking, what? I feel I need to have some discussion with Brad about this. But Wipta if I told him he has no more boundaries with his sleep and he is being ridiculous. The top comment said, "No, your hubby is taught if he thinks he can make a whole baby, but only parent according to clock shifts. It's a 24-hour-a-day job, Dad. Time to be the grown-up, Dad." Odd isn't an excuse, either. Plenty of odd people are parents. Adapting may not be a favorite thing, but it can be done. Maybe he'll need more breaks or support. But to bow out completely at a specific o'clock daily is a form of weaponized incompetence. Also, boundaries are what you do when someone acts against your limitations. Your husband issued a rule that you never agreed to. Get his ass in parenting classes. He has the time. His expectations are not in alignment with reality at all. Also, withholding affection as punishment, not hugging you in the morning to make his point, is a form of emotional abuse. Dude needs to be in counseling, too. Added emphasis on withholding affection as punishment, because withholding affection due to needing personal space, time to emotionally process, or sensory needs, is not the same thing. He could have spoken differently in the morning, but it seems he's pretty obviously holding a grudge. Final story, Aita for telling my parents that they neglected me because of my brother's illness. So I'm a 16-year-old girl, and I have an older brother who is 20, and he moved out about 2 months ago. My brother has misophonia. I don't know everything about the illness, and I don't want to say anything wrong, but it's basically being triggered by certain sounds. He was diagnosed at 7 when I was 4, and he has a very strong version of the illness, I think. Me and my brother used to get along okay, but it got worse after that. Funnily enough, all of his triggers were connected to me. My laughing, my walking, my eating, everything seemed to trigger him. I remember my father yelling at me when I was like 6, because I laughed while my brother was also in the car. I wasn't allowed to eat dinner with them. My parents would eat with him, and when he was finished he could leave. And then I could get my food. I didn't even really understand what was going on, because I was a little kid. I was often alone, because I couldn't go anywhere with them, and would trigger him, and when we did something together it didn't feel the same, because even alone, I was always scared to do something wrong and get yelled at. Even in school, I would barely talk or laugh. I was never very close with my family and spend most time alone in my room or with friends outside. Since my brother moved out, my parents are trying to get me to connect with them more. This morning my mom asked me if I wanted to go see a movie with her, and I was already in a bad mood, because I was stressed due to exams. So I sorta just snapped and told her I didn't want to, and to stop trying to fix things with me, because it was ruined, and that she couldn't fix the neglect they put me through simply by watching a movie with me. She then yelled back at me and told me to stop being jealous of my brother, and that they were doing the best they could, and that they didn't want to neglect me, and just tried to take care of my brother. I just left after that, and both my parents have been ignoring me all day, and now I feel kinda bad. I still really love them at all. Edit update. So I don't know how many people are still gonna see this, considering it's probably not shown on the main page anymore. But I wanna provide at least a little update here. Many people suggested I show this post in the comments to my parents, and I wasn't sure if it was the right thing to do, considering the whole situation in general. But I did do it a few hours ago, and it didn't go too well. They went on a rant about how people on the internet don't know anything about me and our family, which is true obviously, but still I don't know what that adds to the situation, considering they know everything I wrote in my post is true, and that I should stop believing what people tell me on the internet, because all they wanted drama and they don't care about me. Well, didn't go too well. My parents have been and are still yelling at each other in the living room right now. And I'm just sitting here. I wouldn't be surprised if they take my phone away, but oh well, who cares at this point. I'm thinking about maybe going to my teacher and telling her, because I don't really know what to do right now. The most liked comment said NTA, and I suspect your brother was the jealous one, not you. Too convenient that all his triggers came from the sibling with whom he was competing for parental attention. And they didn't do their best, they gave in to him and neglected you because it was easiest. Honestly, I don't think there's much of a chance they'll actually recognize how badly they hurt you unless they get therapy and really listen and do the work. If they won't do that, just grey rock them and get out ASAP. And when they wonder why they aren't invited to your wedding and haven't met their grandkids, tell them it's their own fault for letting your brother push you out of the family without ever standing up for you.